Thank you. I'm Patrick Keane. I'm president of Sharethrough. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for Digiday for having us. Today I'm going to talk about native advertising. We believe pretty firmly that it's the most consumer-friendly, the most advertiser-friendly, and most important for this audience, the most publisher-friendly and the best performing ad model since search. I spent 5+ years at Google, so I have a pretty good understanding of what that was like, and I really do believe that native is transforming the way that publishers can monetize inventory, that advertisers can tell stories via content, and that users can have an experience that's non-interruptive, that fits the form and function and experience of the sites that they engage and hopefully enjoy. So the theory I'm going to talk about today is how native is going to transform mobile video ads, and we've done a proprietary study in Neuroscience that really proves the performance of these units. So, obligatory massive market slide. We all know that native is going to be a big market. It is today. It's north of $10 billion by the end of 2015. By the next 3 years, you're going to see native be north of $20 billion. So if you look at across native display, sponsorship, and social, we're already at a massive market and one that's growing exponentially. But for this presentation and discussion, what I'm truly going to focus on is this segment here, which is the $700 million opportunity that sits in front of this audience, which RBC estimates that Facebook will do $700 million alone in autoplay native video ads for 2015. So this is a massive market. It's the market I'm going to address in this talk, and one that I think all of us as publishers, all of us as brands, all of us as users are going to start to see more and more. And I'll walk you through some examples of the kinds of environments that the modern internet is emerging to sort of display. So if you look at Facebook and Tumblr and Pinterest and a lot of the sort of more modern publishers, the experiences that you're going to see on these sites is a video in-feed experience. So here's an example of Facebook. As you can see there, a really elegant experience allows the user to choose and engage more with that particular ad and see it in feed, again, non-interrupting. You look here, you can see an Instagram in-feed advertising experience. I don't know how many people are active Instagram users, but if you can see lately, that feed is becoming much more prevalent with ads. And those in-feed ads, I think some of the best performing ones are actually video-driven ad experiences. So next, another one of the sort of emerging large-scale publishers for social and for in-feed native ads in mobile is Pinterest. Pinterest is really engaging more with advertisers and building these really elegant experiences, again, that are non-interruptive, that are elegant, that fit that form and function and user experience, and are very compelling for both user and advertiser. This is another example of one of the large social networks. Might be taking it a bit on the chin the last couple of weeks and months, but Twitter. If you look at Twitter, now having a media-driven in-feed experience, I think is a much better user experience across your feed there. And when I talk about feed, I think that's a really interesting point and one that I keep using that's important. So many advertisers, brands, and agencies have attempted for years to try and gain share of voice and to gain an experience in share of voice. I think that model is obliterated, and now it's about a share of feed. So you as an advertiser and publisher have to be able to have an opportunity to get a share of feed. If you look at the typical user experience across all demographics and psychographics is one that's consuming at a mass velocity of an in-feed experience. So we actually at Sharethrough have done some interesting research to look at how these kinds of ads perform vis-a-vis traditional display. If you look at sort of neuroscience today, these ads are not just more elegant and more compelling, they actually perform 2 times better than any other form of display, particularly banner ads. And why do they perform better? Why are they a better unit for users, a better unit for publishers? And it seems sort of obvious and intuitive, but consumers read native ads. If you look at the banner experience as typical, we can talk about banner blindness till we're blue in the face, but the reality is that when users see banners, they only see them peripherally in their field of vision. So we actually worked with Nielsen to do this neuroscience study, which I'm happy to share with all of you, where we looked with particular brands, we looked at business-to-business brands, consumer brands, we literally wired people's heads, had them consume and picked up all the neurons of how people engage and consume content. Again, a banner ad, you can barely register, you're barely engaging in it, but users are spending in sometimes 300 times more with a native in-feed ad than they are with a banner, because again, they're forced to read and engage with that piece of content. And we did lots more with the study that we were able to look at how adding brand association to the native in-feed video ad, different thumbnails, different titles, and we just were able to see overwhelmingly that these ads perform well in excess of traditional banner and pre-roll. So in the studies we did, we saw 82% increase in brand lift when compared to pre-roll. I'm sure some of you have seen on the publisher side lots of success with pre-roll. You're going to ask your average user for that experience and them to gauge that average experience. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a really positive one. So looking at what we would prescribe and what we think to be sort of the quintessential opportunity for a publisher in this marketplace is not going to be the interstitial experience. I think we all have experience with aggressively trying to use our thumbs to sort of kill this experience and to move beyond to get to the content that you want to engage in. And I think more users are going to want a different experience. Pre-roll is not the best experience, but instead, we think an autoplay in-feed ad that is respectful of the user. You can choose to put the sound on or not. The sound is not on. But we think this is a much more elegant user experience to be able to, as you're scrolling through your feed, see a native in-feed video ad as opposed to an interruptive interstitial or an arguably even more interruptive pre-roll when you're just trying to engage in a content experience as a user. And as an advertiser, you want to have the best and most compelling experience, and we do think this native in-feed experience is that. So in terms of some other research that we've done looking at native video and how it performs vis-a-vis the rest of the marketplace, in particular with display and pre-roll, we're seeing for publishers, this is the real opportunity. So for you to work with Sharethrough as a publisher, and we have two parts to our platform. We have Sharethrough for publishers, where we work with publishers to allow you to flight your own native ads as sold by your direct sales force, to also meter in programmatic demand if you want to have additional revenue flowing through. Then we have a Sharethrough Ad Manager product where we work with the top 50 ad age brands, big brand advertisers, to display and distribute their content-driven ad assets through top publishers. So if you as a publisher are using pre-roll, you might want to think about a native in-feed experience, because we see on average 70 to sometimes 120% increase in CPM pricing that you as a publisher can demand with in-feed native ads. And again, this is mobile native in-feed ads. This is not just desktop or display. This is really an in-feed mobile experience, which we think is a really compelling one as well. So in summary, I want to just let you know some of the things that we're thinking about in this market. Native, as I showed some of the data before, is the fastest growing segment of the advertising market. And within that, video is the fastest growing segment within native and in-feed. Sure, we can distribute infographics and other kinds of material and sponsored stories, et cetera, and photographs, but the native market for video is the most explosive one today, and it's growing at a rate of, as I mentioned, 100% over the next 3 years. Neuroscience proves that native advertising is the best way to deliver brand messages. We know this unequivocally through our proprietary research with Nielsen. We've seen how these perform in mobile, how they perform well in excess of any other kinds of unit. As you can see here, native 82% brand lift compared to pre-roll. And we are really confident that these solutions are going to work very well for all publishers, particularly in a mobile experience with limited screen real estate, with an opportunity to deliver a message that's very compelling in video that is autoplay and in-feed, instant play, if you will. And then lastly, native video is a premium new revenue stream. The great thing about native and in feed, you don't necessarily have to remove or get rid of your other display inventory. This is an incremental opportunity because it's part of the feed, because it's part of the editorial experience. So we think that premium opportunity to add new revenue is very compelling, and it can continue to supplement your banner and your other pre-roll strategies. So I was going to close before a few questions and give you a sense of what this platform is like. Just like Twitter or Facebook or Google, it is a bidded platform. You as a publisher are able to manage creative, to create block lists, to really mediate in any way that you see fit for your particular advertisers or brands that you're working with. Also on the agency or advertiser side, those same partners of ours are able to use the platform to manage their campaigns, to manage bids, to really also do the kind of targeting that you might be used to with all the tools for different location targeting, for different psychographic, for all the blue sky targeting that you'd probably be used to if you're looking at some of the other data-driven sources for marketing. And with that, we are Sharethrough, and thank you so much for your time. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Patrick. That was great. I do have one quick question.
Is that a Styx?
It is a Styx lapel pin.
There you go.
When we're talking about neuroscience, we're talking about video. I noticed the video that you did show was not vertical. Is modern video sort of going the way of vertical video? And what's the do you have data from whether your users sort of tilt the phone?
Yeah, no, we do. I mean, we're fortunate with all mobile, there's an accelerometer in all those devices, so we're able to see if people are consuming via horizontal view or vertical view, but it really is up to the user. Most of the consumption is happening vertically. As we know, YouTube now allows for a real full screen vertical experience, and I really kind of think it's headed in that direction, particularly as phones are getting larger and the experience is sort of an unwieldy one to do this. But with an accelerometer, we're able to tell if someone's consuming an ad in motion, which I think is another compelling thing to think about in mobile. Would you deliver a different ad to someone who's moving versus someone that's sedentary? You know, that's the kind of things that you can do with these devices.
Great, cool, it's cool stuff. Does anyone have any questions for Patrick? We have a question over what? Here.
As you put video into the mobile feed, do you have any data from Facebook or your own experience, the bandwidth constraints and how it usually works?
That how, sorry?
The bandwidth consumption when
okay.
compared to the native versus ads, how they're consuming?
Yeah, you know, I mean, so there's a small pixel that's firing on the publisher page, so we're not really seeing any degradation of consumption. Plus, you're going to be able to cache some of that video experience, so it's not going to be degraded in that sense. But it's a good question. I mean, we see greater bandwidth and bigger asset distribution as something that we want to optimize for our platform, and we do.
Cool. I think there was one over here as well. Oh, sorry, closer to him.
Yeah, first of all, Patrick, great presentation and nice illustrations. Question, this native video, wouldn't be stronger if it make it interactive? So not only people consume the video, but also have a chance to speak up back and express something about this video.
I'm sorry, I don't get in. No,
Just combining the video with some interactivity, so people are given a chance not only to consume the content, in your case, the native advertising video, but also have some ability to provide the feedback, some kind of interactivity in this equation.
Oh yeah, no, that's a very good question. So one thing that we're able to do, and the publishers have this data as well, they're able to tell everything from shareability to how people are actually engaging with the content. You know, we often find it should be intuitive that if someone is going to share content, and one thing you might not have been able to see with all of our units, you're going to be able to post to Facebook, to share to Twitter, or the publisher can actually customize and allow for whatever engagement they want, whether it's driving to a site, having it sit within that environment as it is. But it's a good question. They have that kind of control, which is important.
Okay, and we are literally, last second, out of time. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it.